Here are the top stories for today, November 16, 2021. For added protection against COVID-19, fully vaccinated healthcare workers may get booster shots starting November 17. The DOH says the National Capital Region may go down to Alert Level 1 if it stays low risk for COVID-19. More than half of next year's presidential bets and dozens more are likely to be listed as nuisance candidates. And the DILG and other provinces urge the Senate to restore the Barangay Development Program Fund of the National Task Force to end communist armed conflict. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Third dose or booster shots for fully vaccinated healthcare workers will be made available starting tomorrow. Among the vaccine brands to be used are Moderna, Pfizer, and Sinovac. Sinovac will also be offered for those that had Sinovac as primary series. The health department says those who are interested to get the jab may do so regardless of the administered COVID-19 vaccine brand in the primary series. Health experts maintain that COVID-19 vaccines continue to provide strong protection against severe illness, hospitalization, and death regardless of the brand. The use of a third dose has yet to be approved for the general population. Donations continue to pour in from other countries as the government is working double time to inoculate more and more Filipinos. Last night, another shipment of U.S.-donated Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines arrived. A total of 301,860 doses of Pfizer jabs would be intended for healthcare workers, senior citizens, persons with comorbidities, and the indigent population. Meanwhile, the Japanese government, through the United Nations Children's Fund or UNICEF Philippines, has provided 2 cold chain equipment for the storage of COVID-19 vaccines in Manila. Vice Mayor Hani Lacuna and City Health Department Chief Dr. Arnold Pangan welcomed the Japanese Ambassador Koshikawa Kazuhiko and some officials of UNICEF Philippines during the turnover ceremony at the Manila City Hall. Face shields will now be a thing in the past as President Duterte has lifted its use in areas under Alert Level 1 to 3. However, he said face masks will still be needed for protection.
You dispense with the shield but not the mask. Yung mask will forever remain and it will be a part of our day-to-day part of what? The safety measure kasi matagal pa itong virus na nasa hangin lang.
Meanwhile, the president called on the local government units to pass local ordinances restricting unvaccinated minors to roam around public places. He said children, especially those who are not yet protected against COVID-19, will remain at risk of severe infection. Health authorities are now completing the necessary assessments and safety protocols to start the vaccination of children aged 5 to 11 years old.
On this note, I am calling all local government units to consider passing ordinances for age restriction among minors who can be allowed to go to the malls. Certainly, we cannot allow those below 12 years old or those getting or still unvaccinated to be exposed to the risk of getting COVID-19 in public places. Again, sabi dito, IATF to, task force, we cannot allow those below 12 years old. So, tandaan ninyo yan. Again, to the parents and guardians of minors who are unvaccinated, please mindful of the risk. Part of caring for them is thinking about their safety. I hope no one among our children will get COVID-19.
More areas in the country have eased to Alert Level 2. Meanwhile, health officials are hopeful that Metro Manila will soon transition to Alert Level 1. The details from Marita Mawahe.
Metro Manila will likely be de-escalated to Alert Level 1 by December as it maintains a low-risk COVID-19 status of 4 weeks. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said the region remains under low-risk classification with its average daily cases on a plateau in the recent week. The escalation of alert levels will also happen if vaccination drive has reached 70 among senior citizens and persons with comorbidities, and at least 50% of the targeted eligible population. Meanwhile, Bataan also eased to Alert Level 2 status from November 15 to 30, 2021. This means more dine-in customers were given entry in restaurants as eateries can now accommodate 50% indoor and 70% for outdoor. Children are also allowed inside the malls. However, social distancing and contact tracing protocols are still strictly imposed. Western Visayas is also placed under the less restrictive Alert Level 2. As of Sunday, the region is left with only 6,167 active cases, which is equivalent to 4.27% of its total cumulative cases. Of the number, only 2.52% are verified deaths. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Mawahe.
Zamboanga City and Davao have lifted the required RT-PCR result for inbound travelers. Starting today, the two cities will do away with the test result. In Zamboanga, travelers coming from areas with higher quarantine restrictions such as Alert Level 4 and above will need to present their antigen test results. But for those coming from a low-risk area, they will only need to show their vaccination card and S-Pass permit. In Davao City, no document shall be required for entry except for security checks that may be required by the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police for the purposes of anti-crime, anti-illegal drugs, and anti-terrorism operations. The Department of Information and Communications Technology is looking for 50,000 volunteers to take part in data encoding for the country's online vaccination record system, VaxCert-PH. DICT Undersecretary Emmanuel Caintic said these volunteers will be assigned to their respective local government units to take part in data encoding for the VaxCert-PH portal, especially during the 3-day national vaccination days from November 29 to December 1st. These volunteers will help the DICT and LGUs eliminate the current backlog of vaccination data, currently averaging 30% per LGU. Caintic commended LGUs in Metro Manila for the high upload rate of their vaccination data, with some cities having a 100% upload rate. Meanwhile, due to the current backlog, he said the VaxCert-PH portal is currently focused on providing VaxCerts or those leaving the country. For those looking to secure their VaxCert and are already fully vaccinated, he said the service is provided free of charge online. President Rodrigo Duterte has named Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles as acting presidential spokesperson, replacing Harry Roque, who filed his certificate of candidacy for senator in the 2022 elections. Nograles once served as spokesperson of the Interagency Task Force and is currently the head of the Task Force on Zero Hunger, a government's campaign to fight hunger. In reference to Roque's decision to seek a Senate seat, Duterte said the law stated that any government officials are automatically resigned after filing their COC before the Commission on Elections or COMELEC. Roque's bid goodbye as presidential spokesperson and IATF spokesman during his last palace press briefing on Monday. Roque, a former Congress representative, is running for senator of the People's Reform Party, substituting Paulo Mario Martelino. President Rodrigo Duterte has appointed Supreme Court Administrator Jose Maides Marquez as Associate Justice. Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea confirmed the appointment of Marquez as replacement of Associate Justice Edgardo de los Santos, who retired last June. Marquez started his career in the Supreme Court in 1991 as a summer apprentice. Aside from being court administrator, Marquez served as spokesperson of the Supreme Court, chief of its Public Information Office, and chief of staff of the Office of the Chief Justice. Marquez previously applied for the Associate Justice spot in 2018. Still to come, more than half of the 97 presidential aspirants may be listed as nuisances. And we take a look at the pilot face-to-face classes in several schools nationwide. Details ahead. Keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Paolo Medjones po para sa kampanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit ba kailangan magparehistro sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Mahalagang magparehistro dahil ito ang unang step sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19. May 3 pamamaraan upang makapagrehistro ang isang Pilipino na nais mabakunahan. Una, ang online registration sa inyong local government unit o LGU. Pangalawa, ang pagpunta sa mga vaccination centers at pagkuha ng registration form. At pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga pinuno ng barangay o sa mga barangay health center. Tandaan, online, sa mga vaccination site o sa mga barangay health centers ang pagpaparehistro sa pagpapabakuna kontra COVID-19. Muli ako po si Paolo Medjones, Disiplina Muna Ambassador na nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna. Bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro at magpabakuna para ligtas ang pamilya, ligtas ang bayan. Disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado.
More than half of the 97 presidential aspirants in the 2022 national and local elections may be declared as nuisances. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said motu proprio cases for the declaration as nuisance candidates have already been filed against 82 of the 97 individuals who filed certificates of candidacies for president from October 1st to October 8th. Similar cases have also been filed against 15 of the 29 aspirants for vice presidents and 108 out of the 176 filers. Jimenez said the final list of the qualified candidates for next year's polls is expected to be released next month. Newly appointed Philippine National Police Chief General Leonardo Carlos and Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Andres Centino pledged to ensure that the 2022 national and local elections would be peaceful and orderly. Carlos said part of the PNP's campaign to ensure orderly and honest elections is the aggressive campaign against loose firearms and the accounting of private armed groups. He reminded all police officers that they must stay neutral and nonpartisan in the conduct of elections and that their only role is to ensure peace and security. He said all police officers on active duty should remain apolitical even in their social media posts and refrain from campaigning for or against any political aspirant. Meanwhile, Centino said beyond the remaining insurgency threat, the military also needs to safeguard next year's elections as it is the AFP's duty to ensure that the polls are carried out peacefully and orderly. The Philippine National Police reminds mall and establishment owners to strengthen safety and security enforcement as more clients and guests come over ahead of the holiday season. Newly appointed PNP Chief General Leonardo Carlos said business owners should anticipate growing complacency following the easing of lockdown protocols in more areas nationwide. Carlos said that PNP will assign more police personnel to remind the public of health protocols. They will also encourage mall owners and tourism spot management to deploy more security guards in their vicinities and discuss safety and security matters. Carlos stated that local government units can assist by designating safety and compliance officers in public areas. Selected schools in the provinces have started holding pilot in-person or face-to-face classes, but school personnel are still exercising caution amid the threat of COVID-19. Chris Mundo has this story.
Face-to-face classes at the Napo Elementary School in Linamon, Lanao del Norte started Monday with colorful makeshift cubicles now installed in each student's tables to protect them from COVID-19. Parents are barred to enter from the school grounds as only school staff and students are allowed inside the school premises. The NES is one of the 6 schools allowed to conduct limited in-person classes in the province. Shagrid Espina, the division supervisor in Kauswagan, said out of more than 400 enrolled, only 24 were chosen to attend the face-to-face classes. Meanwhile, 2 public schools in Zambales deferred the reopening of limited in-person classes after some of their teachers tested positive for the coronavirus. The school's division office of Zambales said the teachers who took an antigen test a day before the pilot run were from San Marcelino National High School and Baliwet Elementary School, both in the municipality of San Marcelino. Meantime, Banawen Elementary School deferred its limited in-person class opening as their teachers are still waiting for the results of the antigen tests. Limited face-to-face classes also resumed on Monday in 2 schools in North Cotabato. The participating learning institutions include the Paco National High School in Kinapawan City and Bato Elementary School in the adjacent Makilala town. Paco Principal Arturo Jimenez said they were able to accomplish all requirements and health protocols to warrant the safety of students under its face-to-face classes. BES Principal Christy Arbis, meanwhile, said DepEd Region 12 officials are also set to take regular ocular inspections. In the Bicol region, at least 9 public schools joined the pilot implementation of the limited face-to-face classes in the country on Monday. DepEd Regional Director Gilbert Sadsad said the agency has conducted a series of validation and assessment activities to ensure the safety and preparedness of the schools. Sadsad said these were the first to pass the granular assessment by the Department of Health and the Interagency Task Force and included in the 120 public schools nationwide for the pilot testing of in-school classes. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
Up next, the traditional Belenismo in Tarlac still brings Christmas feel amid the pandemic. Meanwhile, another athlete might represent Japan in future sporting events. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Mga kabida, COVID-19 may be here for a while as we continue to aim for population protection through vaccination. So to keep you and your family safe, look for the Safety Seal sticker whenever you go to malls, eat out in restaurants, or visit any private or public establishments. This Safety Seal certification signifies that an establishment is compliant with health and safety protocols set by the government to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Kaya you're guaranteed of health and safety consciousness of the places you go to. Remember, bida ang may tatak. Check if there is a safety seal along the entrance area of the place you're visiting para ligtas ang pamilya, ligtas ang bayan.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government and the League of Provinces of the Philippines appealed to the Senate to restore the 28.1 billion peso barangay development program proposed by the National Task Force to end local communist armed conflict. DILG Secretary Eduardo Año said barangays covered by the support to the Barangay Development Program are feeling the change and the care of the government after being under communist terrorist group influence. Anyos said the proposed projects under the SBDP represent the collective aspiration of barangays towards genuine peace and development. He said cutting the proposed NTF-LCAC budget next year will deprive these barangays of development and will make them vulnerable once more to the CTGs. The LLP also released resolution number 2021-009 supporting President Rodrigo Duterte's anti-insurgency program. LPP President and Marinduque Governor Presbiterio Velasco Jr. said the BDP needs to be pursued to bring about and sustain progress and development in conflict-affected barangays. Registrants to the government's National Identification System in Negros Oriental have breached 90% of the total target set by the Philippine Statistics Authority. PSA Negros Oriental Provincial Chief Engineer Ariel Fortuito said that as of November 13, the total Step 2 registration output of the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys, was pegged at 91.6%. This represents over 782,000 registrants out of the target of around 854,000. Fortuito said this is the result of the satellite registrations carried out in the past months to ramp up the national ID system rollout in the province. Dumaguete topped the list of cities with the highest number of registrants at 79,522. Fortuito said they are confident of further exceeding their target before the year end. In sports, basketball player Matt Aquino has been called up to join Japan's men's basketball team ahead of the November window of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. The Japanese Basketball Association announced that Matt, the son of former Philippine Centennial team member Marlu Aquino, will be part of a 24-man pool that would be considered for Japan's first matches in the qualifiers. Aquino, whose grandmother is Japanese, has been holding a Japanese passport since childhood, making him eligible to play for Japan as a local. If Aquino, who is currently playing for Shinshu in the B League, gets to play for Japan in the November window, he would become ineligible to play for Gilas Pilipinas. But the 6'9" forward center bared that he really wanted to join Japan's national team. Japan is beginning its WCQ quest with back-to-back games against China at the Seibyo Arena in Sendai on November 27 to 28. Tarlac Province is continuing its traditional Belenismo contest in celebration of the Christmas season. This year's entries for the 14th Belenismo sa Tarlac were displayed outside the San Jose Public Market on Saturday, November 13, during the final judging of entries. The winners for the Best Giant Nativity Scene will be revealed in December by the Tarlac Heritage Foundation. Co-founder Dr. Isabel Cuanco Suntay said the Belenisimo found more significance amid the global health crisis, as it reminds people that there is always hope as long as there is faith in their hearts. Everyone is welcome to view the Belens as long as health and safety protocols, such as wearing face masks, are practiced. Meanwhile, the Dagupan City Mayor Mark Brian Lim is eyeing the holding of the famous Bangus Festival next year if the vaccination rate of residents here will reach 90%. Lim said they will wait for the go signal of the Interagency Task Force and the Department of Health to celebrate the Bangus Festival 2022. Lim also cited the decreasing trend in the number of active cases in the city. Lim also announced that the city is now under Alert Level 2 as declared by the IATF. He expressed hope this will translate to more economic activities in December. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. For added protection against COVID-19, fully vaccinated healthcare workers may get booster shots starting November 17. The DOH says the National Capital Region may go down to Alert Level 1 if it stays low risk for COVID-19. More than half of next year's presidential bets and dozens more are likely to be listed as nuisance candidates. And the DILG and other provinces urged the Senate to restore the Barangay Development Program Fund of the National Task Force to end communist armed conflict. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is 39 more days to go before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day to all.